Hey, it's been a while since we've had an unscripted discussion like this one, but here we go, I guess. We've already seen the title of this video, so I don't really think that that title needs much more explaining. We're here today to talk about the most important and flashy thing in any modern technology: chargers. All kidding and sarcasm aside, chargers actually play a very important role in actually, putting power into our modern devices. And so it's not much of a stretch to say that chargers play a very underappreciated role in our modern technologies. And that has never been more clear to me recently than the experience that I've had when I left this charger at home. Um, so a little bit of a context for this, I switched to an Oppo Reno 8Z uh, near the end of 2022, and I've actually been daily driving this thing for 2 months now. And with this mid-range phone came a very sweet deal, a 33-watt fast charger with SuperVOOC technology on it. And so, with a 4500 milliamp hour battery, I was able to charge this phone for literally less than an hour every time I've had to actually charge it from zero to full. And even less than that if I only wanted to like sip charge it, which is crazy illuminating to me when I first got it. And it really shows you just how stuck I've been with lower end devices, because this kind of speed is actually like pedestrian nowadays in comparison to like the 100 watts charging that Oppo themselves actually offers, as well as other companies. And Xiaomi is like getting into the 150, 200 watt charging now in phones, which is ridiculous when like laptops don't even need that much power. Anyways, we were getting ahead of ourselves here. The point is that when I upgraded to this phone, I also had access to a brand new fast charger that completely changed the way I charge my device from day to day. And very recently, Monday this week, I accidentally left this at home when I went back to my dormitory because I go to school pretty far away, I guess. And so I had to completely change back to my old habit. Now, I wasn't completely SOL when I left this at home because my tablet, which is actually recording this video right now, is also USB-C, and I was able to bring its charger with me. So this is a 25-watt charger from Huawei. So I was able to charge the phone just fine. But, and this gets us slowly into the meat of this video, there's a very good reason why I bring this whack load of stuff with me. This is 4 chargers that I'm holding, and I'm actually having a few more in my bag right there. And so I literally bring like 6 chargers and much more cables with me, literally anywhere I go for extended periods of time. And the reason for that will become apparent soon. Now, 6 chargers is obviously fairly crazy, even for a tech enthusiast like me. Especially when you consider that I only really have like 4 different types of chargers that I can classify. Micro USB for my older devices, USB-C for my newer devices like my tablet and my phone, my laptop charger, which is a barrel plug for my Acer Aspire 3, that's right actually behind me here, and for my Galaxy Watch 3, which uses a wireless charger. So these 4 devices can basically be boiled down to 2 power bricks. My laptop power brick, which can't be replaced unless I use something like, what was it, that technology that allows you um, to use the barrel plugs to connect to USB, which is actually very expensive, and a simple USB power brick, USB-A power brick, along with, so long as I bring 3 different types of cables, 1 micro USB, 1 USB-C, and 1 for my Galaxy Watch that I'm actually daily driving. But the reason that I actually bring 4, 5, 6 chargers with me everywhere I go is because those chargers don't always work in the best way that they can on devices that they're not particularly designed to. So there's this fragmentation problem that's been developing recently in the USB space. I'm already very aware of it. A lot of tech enthusiasts that are watching may already be very aware of what's going on here. But for those uninitiated, USB C is nothing more than a physical standard. It doesn't actually dictate the amount of power and data that actually travels through those, I believe it's 24 pins. Those 24 pins right there are all going to be dictated by the connection standard rather than the physical standard of USB-C itself. USB-C is kind of a vague physical dimensional standard that allocates 24 reversible pins on this tiny port right here. It doesn't tell you how much data and how much power any particular device can draw and or communicate over. So, with that, there have been so many standards for USB-C that it's getting ridiculous, right? You have USB itself, which you can go up to like USB 4 now. You have Thunderbolt by Intel, which can go up to literally 48 gigabytes per second, and more than that probably. I don't even know the current spec of Thunderbolt anymore, but they can all go through this port. You have literally display standards that are also piggybacking off of USB-C, and then we have charging. And charging may be the most complicated thing about USB-C right now, aside from all the Thunderbolt USB 4 nonsense that we've been hearing. Because, and maybe this is not always malicious, maybe it's just due to innovation and stuff like that, but any one particular charging brick from any particular like vendor, any particular manufacturer may not always be intercompatible with each other in terms of their maximum output for each device. And the reason for that is that they're using literally different voltages and amperages that not every phone is capable of supporting or is designed to support, even though they all use the same physical USB-C standard. So we're gonna go back to the heart of this piece and talk about my fast charger right here. This 33-watt fast charger from Oppo uses super technology, and for that we have a maximum output of 33 watts powered by an 11-volt 3 amp output. This Huawei charger is a 25-watt one, and it uses 10 volts at 2.25 amps. Those are very different voltages. That may not seem like a whole lot of change, but in terms of designing the charging ICs that actually go into the phones and the batteries themselves, that's actually like a big thing to consider, because not every phone is going to be able to support 11 volts. Not every phone is going to be able to support charging at 10 volts. Not every phone would be able to use 20-volt charging. That's like standard for some devices that's using like very high wattage chargers, like the 100-watt one from other Oppo and Xiaomi devices, right? Those are insanely different types of voltages that not every IC can support, not every phone can support. And so that makes the entire landscape of chargers very confusing, even when we have literally the same physical standard. They both use the same USB-A port and the same USB-C like output. Complicating matters would be USB-C to C chargers, but I'm not going to talk about them for now. I'm going to be focusing on the differences between different brands' fast charging standards and how they literally affect the way that we charge our phones now. Because instead of being able to like bring a generic fast charger, we literally have to just like figure out if that device that we're using is compatible with whatever fast charger that we have, right? And it's not like there are no like universal standards for this. Qualcomm has their own quick charge standard, which can be used for a wide variety of Qualcomm enabled devices that are using Qualcomm chipsets and Qualcomm charging ICs, and whose batteries and charging circuits have been validated for the amount of power that quick charge can provide. And so that gives some uh, some, I guess, universality in some devices, but it's still not quite as universal as you would like it to be. And that's actually one of the reasons why it's been frustrating this week, because having used a fast charger once literally changes you forever, right? Because a 4500 milliamp hour battery, when charged with a 10-watt regular charger, will literally take like 3 hours to fully complete. Even with a 20-watt charger, it takes like 2 hours. With a 33-watt charger, it takes literally less than an hour. And that changes you. That changes how and when you charge your device, as well as the schedule that you have day to day. And so, literally, not being able to bring this and instead having to rely on this thing was going to be an issue, but not that much of an issue if it was actually able to provide 22 watts of charging to my phone, which it literally wasn't able to. And that brings us down back to the differences in charging standards. This is not going to be compatible. This is not going to be able to output the same amount of power, maximum power, when it's connected to my tablet and when it's connected to my phone. And that's because they're using different standards. And that means that when I use this USB-C A to USB-C charger that's designed for fast charging on USB on my phone, which is also capable of receiving fast charging up to 33 watts, you're going to be charging at the base spec 10 watts, 15 watts. And that's slow enough that it's actually been very frustrating, even if it seems kind of a first worldish problem, if you ask me. And yeah, with the state that USB-C is in right now, this is hardly a surprise, but it's still very disappointing to say the least. And that basically justifies the reason why I carry around so many chargers with me, even if I don't really have that much ports to deal with anymore. Aside from just the versatility of having different power bricks that literally anyone in my family can use, except for iPhones, because we don't have iPhones around here. It's also just the peace of mind that when I plug in a fast charger to a device that is actually compatible with, it's going to work as intended. And not, oh, this is a fast charger for my tablet, I hope it works for my phone. There needs to be some sort of change, right? And there needs to be a consolidation, especially of charging, because this is becoming more and more awfully like the proprietary chargers that we had to deal with before micro USB came along. Now, obviously, this is a much better paradigm than it used to be, because at the very least, the physical standards are all the same and interchangeable and even reversible. But it's still the same fragmentation problem that we had way back when. And especially when you consider that, like, I'm carrying around 6 chargers even though all of my phones and devices are compatible with each other. And the only reason for it being that it's a quality of life issue rather than one of just other compatibility, right? Universal compatibility is fine because I can charge this thing on base spec 10 to 15 watts. But in terms of quality of life, it would be very nice if I would just like bring this charger with me and I could also charge this tablet at its maximum 22-watt charging. But I can't because it's not compatible with the voltage. So I have to bring around this thing with me while also having to carry around this thing with me because I want to be able to do fast charge my phone while also being able to carry around a whole whack ton of these for my watch, my other more different phone, and this laptop charger for, well, my laptop. USB-C is a wonderful thing. I wanted to make a video for so long about USB-C just because it's basically the port to end all ports. It's the king. It's going to be the standard for decades, I'm presuming. And maybe that prediction will not age very well, but I am reasonably certain that USB-C will find its place in history as the unifying standard for them all. But one of its growing pains of becoming the universal standard is figuring out whether the different standards that piggybacks off this universal physical standard is going to be compatible with each other. and the only solutions that can come up from this has to be agreed upon by the industry, which right now is in a state of utter competition and turmoil in terms of innovation. So focus on individual innovation to make their spec sheets more and more better is actually hindering universal adoption. For now, it's going to be a very frustrating and very confusing experience as well for any average user when they see 33 watts on their charger and not be able to charge their devices with it at full speed. Hopefully I can actually make a video about that someday, but the amount of testing that I have to do with fast charging and charging in general, actually, I've wanted to make like a charging comparison video, but it's like the nature of the beast is that it's very time consuming, and so maybe I'll get around to it someday. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do, but that's obviously going to take time. I don't know if there's going to be a regular video up this February actually, because there's a lot of things in my schedule right now, and we'll see if I can fit in something. I already have a script for it. I just don't know if I will be able to film it in a reasonable amount of time. So yeah, see you when the next regular video drops, hopefully, and I hope you learned something from this however many minutes rant that I had about chargers in general. Bye.